Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Singh. Topping our newscast tonight, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services have made a decision about Juan Luis Hospital's certification. The federal agency is granting the St. Croix Medical Center an extension, but it's not coming easy. News 2's Erica Parsons has that story.
Juan Luis Hospital is getting a second chance.
It is truly a new beginning and a fresh start for JFL.
Flanked by hospital administrators and territorial leaders, JFL CEO Dr. Kendall Griffith told media during a press conference the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, won't terminate the hospital's contract on October 9th. Instead, they're granting them a 9-month extension.
We showed CMS that our reform and improvement measures were making a difference, and that we had already made great strides in improving the standardization of quality patient care at JFL.
That extension comes at a cost. CMS has entered into a systems improvement agreement with the St. Croix Hospital, but it could all come to an end on November 20th, the new Medicare termination date.
If the proposed systems improvement agreement is not executed by that date, the hospital's Medicare provider agreement will terminate.
Officials say CMS wants to see commitment from not just the hospital, but the government and the community. That means a full governing board and the financial backing to support and sustain system improvements.
We have come together under a crisis, as we always do. But this is going to require sustainability. And CMS is very clear on that.
We have a short time span in which to prove to CMS that we can accomplish the task of fulfilling the mandates that are provided to continue participation in CMS.
We are committed to this. We know that the road is going to be extremely difficult and that today is not the end, but it's just the beginning of what we need to do.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
CMS officials plan to make a surprise visit to Juan F. Luis before the extension ends to check on the progress. Hospital officials also met with senators prior to Tuesday's press conference. Deborah Gottlieb, director of the Office of Management and Budget, expressed concern on several cuts made by the Senate on the budgets of some agencies and departments. She says cuts to agencies like the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the Police Department, and the Bureau of Corrections might impede some of the progress they have already been making.
Concerns are that these reductions undermine the progress and successes that those departments and agencies have been able to implement during the past fiscal year. Our analysis is ongoing, but those were the things that were of particular concern that I mentioned because they just jumped out at you.
Last week, the Senate passed an amendment that elicited some heated reactions from residents. The amendment would allow WAPA to charge customers a monthly amount that will go toward running streetlights. News 2's April Knight takes a closer look at the controversial amendment.
Senator Clifford Graham has been doing a lot of explaining lately. An amendment he sponsored would add $5 to residents' monthly WAPA bills to pay for streetlights, and residents are not too happy.
A lot of people here are suffering. They live on fixed income, and if they just have to shell out anymore, it's not going to be a happy situation for them.
The cost of powering streetlights used to be paid with 4% of annual property taxes. The problem is that money only amounts to about $2 million a year. The streetlights cost more than $10 million to run. But Senator Graham says the discrepancy is not the main driving force for the additional $5 to the power bill. The Finance Committee chair said he had to balance the 2015 budget, and this proposal was carefully picked out of a list of painful options.
It coincides with when the propane reduction is coming in. Average residential customer bill will be going down $58. At the same time, the $5 streetlight surcharge will be implemented. So the end result will be a net saving to an individual of $53.
Some senators who initially voted for it had second thoughts.
This issue is evolving. It's not that it was wrong, it's just that it was not fully considered.
But Senator Graham says they can repeal his amendment.
It doesn't have to be the streetlight surcharge.
But residents have to be ready for what could be worse alternatives.
$80 additional fee when you register your car, or a 10% income tax surcharge, or some of the other options, including government employees getting days without pay to balance the budget.
In the end, the money has to come from somewhere. It's just a matter of finding out which of these options is the lesser evil. Reporting for News 2, I'm April Knight.
And we will have more on the Streetlight Amendment Bill, looking at the points of views of senators who call for more discussion on this matter. In other news, a $100,000 reward is being offered for information leading to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for the murder of 32-year-old Dominican Republic citizen Yeral Batista Sena, who was in Tortola since June 25th. He was found dead in his hotel room at the Fort Byrd Hotel in Roadtown, Tortola on July 1st. He lived on St. Thomas and had planned to fly to the Dominican Republic on the day he was murdered. That's according to the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. The VIPD is assisting in this case that they suspect is a result of criminal activity. Now, you can call the VIPD or BVI Police, and their number is 284-468-5682. You can also call Crime Stoppers at USVI 1-800-222-TIPS. Now, the University of the Virgin Islands, in other news, Board of Trustees passed a resolution Monday paving the way for development of UVI's medical school. The board decided to locate the school evenly on both islands. The simulation center would be on St. Croix, while the classrooms would be on St. Thomas. UVI plans to build a school of medicine certified by the Liaison Committee for Medical Education. It would be the only English-speaking LCME medical school in the Caribbean. On Monday, Senator Terrence Positive Nelson, in collaboration with the University of the Virgin Islands, hosted another medical cannabis forum, a discussion with healthcare professionals revealing the truth for medical benefits, that was the title of it, that can be gained from the cannabis plant. Now, the panel of healthcare professionals included Dr. Frank Udlum, the surgeon chair of the medical board, Errol Hobdi, hematologist, oncologist, Dr. David Weischer, neurologist, and James Nelson, that's just to name a few, and Ian Douglas. Here's more.
Sometimes we've had over 5,000 people, and this year I think it's going to be very good because we have a lot of good people coming. We have a few surprises. Also, we have, for instance, Image Band. They're out of D.C., but they're also from the Virgin Islands.
For those of you who are fearful that the criminalization would encourage a new wave of drug use and condone a behavior that is fundamentally immoral, today's forum is not about the decriminalization or the freeing up of the weed, the substantial reduction of penalties associated with the use of drugs. That is a topic for another place at another time. Today's topic concerns itself with the legalization of marijuana for medical purposes, not for recreational or even religious purposes.
Now, if you want to learn more, be sure to tune in to Talk 2 tonight at 7:30. Now, the topic is the marijuana referendum. The guests include Senator Terrence Nelson, Dr. Cora Christian, and Dr. James Nelson, who are also present at that forum. You'll hear more about what has been discussed at the forums and the feedback about the many positive uses of the cannabis plant. Be sure to tune in right after News 2 at 7:30 p.m. right here on CBS TV2. Health Commissioner Doris Plaskett reported today that they are being proactive. The Department of Health is collaborating and communicating with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, local hospital officials, healthcare partners, and emergency medical personnel to be prepared in the event of a local Ebola case. She said last week the Department of Health led a multi-agency meeting with officials from the hospitals, federally qualified health centers, Customs and Border Protection, all to discuss steps that can be taken to prevent the spread of the disease. Plaskett also noted that the representatives were provided with CDC's resources on hospital and healthcare provider preparedness checklists for Ebola and Ebola screening criteria. Meanwhile, turning our attention overseas, a woman with the first known case of Ebola contracted outside West Africa is getting treatment at a hospital in Madrid. Health officials say they are compiling a list of people she may have come in contact with. Officials believe she caught the virus last month while treating a Spanish priest who came to Madrid from Sierra Leone for care but later died. To help contain the disease, President Obama has promised to send up to 4,000 U.S. troops to West Africa and called for the creation of up to 17 Ebola treatment centers. The White House is also considering additional screenings at airports in the U.S. and abroad. Keeping our eye on the economy, more than 930,000 Ford midsize cars are being investigated for possible problems with their power-assisted steering systems. The federal investigation includes Mercury Milan models from 2010 to 2011 and Ford Fusion Lincoln MKZ cars from 2010 to 2012. 4 complaints say the problems lead to crashes. Well, here's a look at the New York Stock Exchange with our stock market watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all down. The Dow down 272, Nasdaq 69, S&P 29. Coming up on News 2, Fire Prevention Week recognition continues with the theme, Working Smoke Alarms Save Lives. Test yours every month. Highlights from recognition events on St. Croix. Innovative telephone, innovative wireless, and innovative long-distance customers will notice a change in the Federal Universal Service Charge effective October 1st. The surcharge factor recovers the costs associated with the carrier's contributions to the Federal Universal Fund program. The government-mandated program is designed to help keep service rates affordable for all U.S. customers. For residential telephone customers and single-line business subscribers, the charge will increase from $1.17 to $1.20. Multi-telephone business subscribers from $1.64 to $1.69 per line. PBX lines rates from $2.17 to $2.23 per line. Also, the end user charge for multi-business increased from $8.96 to $8.98. The VI Fire Services continue to celebrate fire prevention all this week, and even before that, last week, firefighters on St. Croix conducted a fire drill at the Ricardo Richards Elementary School and talked to students about safety, fire safety. On Monday, the preschoolers from St. Mary's Catholic School visited the Richmond Fire Station and were taught how to stop, drop, and roll.
Tuesday, we'll have station visits and school visits. Wednesday, we'll have the jamboree and the racetrack that starts at 10 a.m., matter of fact, not p.m., 10 a.m., where we'll be hosting about 1,200 children. Have some safety tip of the year. This year's theme is Working Smoke Detectors Save Lives. Thursday, we'll be visiting some seniors' homes and still have some other school visit. Friday, we're dedicating the whole day Friday. The whole prevention crew and maybe a few off of suppression will be at the Agriculture Fairgrounds for Homeless Connect.
Well, now that school is in full swing, Joseph Gomez Elementary School held a night-out event last week on St. Thomas. The outing gave parents a chance to meet teachers and tour some of the classrooms. The students and parents heard from Gomez principal, Jamon Liebert. Students participated in a number of fun parent night activities. 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Lilia Donovan Challenger, also used the opportunity to provide an overview of the Common Core state standards for parents. Well, it was a historic event for UVI as officials marked the occasion with a reception. 65 acres of property and estate surgeon-free on St. Thomas was donated to the institution. The donation comes from descendants of Rankin Orr and Elizabeth Millen. Family members were on hand for that occasion. Liel van Beverhout, Luz van Beverhout, Aretha van Beverhout Matthias, and Anita Millen Holder. A property tour was also held. The Ricardo Richards and Pearl B. Larson Elementary Schools have received national recognition. The St. Croix schools were rewarded as National Blue Ribbon Schools last week for their academic excellence. The 2 schools were recognized along with more than 300 other schools across the nation. They were recognized in one of 2 performance categories: exemplary high-performing schools and exemplary achievement gap-closing schools. VI Education Commissioner Donna Fred Gregory said the award speaks volumes about the quality of public schools here in the territory. Well, Scotiabank will be hosting the next St. Thomas St. John Chamber of Commerce Business After Hours on Thursday, October 9th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at their Red Hook branch located in the East End Plaza. Free parking will be available between the hours of 4:30 and 8:30 p.m. All parking tickets must be validated. Now, you can enjoy complimentary hors d'oeuvres, door prizes, 50-50 raffle, and the famous Chamber Cash Bar. Meanwhile, the St. Croix Chamber on St. Croix of Commerce will host another blue ribbon cutting ceremony for a business that is reopening on St. Croix. Mark it on your calendar. It's on Wednesday, October 15th at 5 p.m. They will be celebrating art at Top Hat on Company Street in Christiansted, so be sure to take the opportunity to learn more and network. UVI's VI Marine Advisory Service has coordinated Coast Week's beach cleanup activities in the territory through October 31st. Volunteers at beaches in the VI have been joining thousands from around the world in the planet's largest volunteer cleanup. The Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority is a sponsor for the event that was started by the Ocean Conservancy to help mobilize communities to clean up marine debris and record data on the amount of trash collected. That information is submitted to the Ocean Conservancy. Anna Wallace Francis of Camp Umoja and Joel Connor Brown of the St. Thomas Civil Air Patrol Composite Squadron coordinated this cleanup at Mandel Bay. The Marine Service will assist local groups, clubs, and schools to organize and conduct shoreline and underwater cleanups. Well, be sure to stick around. Your News 2 Aki weather forecast is coming up next.